Record. We are back to the warehouse for Blitzball Battle 4. Is Wooga's the front runner? Let's talk Blitzball. Welcome to the Blitzball Boys, the podcast about Blitzball and boys, but lately about boys. I'm your co-host, Brendan Ruppel, along with my fellow host, Peter Del Rey.
Hey, Brendan. We're back.
We're back.
In the warehouse.
In the warehouse.
Did you see what I tweeted at you that we have to mention on today's podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot what it was, but I'm looking at it now.
It was Dan Rourke's hot dog machine.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly going into the win. But Brendan, I want to open up with something else that I realized as I was just talking about the hot dog machine. What did you text me yesterday morning before I was able to watch the game?
Essentially, I think my sentiments were that Wooga's is my favorite team to watch. And watching this game, even before they ended up having a comeback win, I was like, this team is so fun. Even when Dan Rourke is struggling on the mound, it's still so entertaining. And Jimmy Knorp is the best teammate. Just a genuine, awesome dude and an amazing player. This is my favorite team to watch. Peter Moreland, I think, said the same thing in the post game. I'm like, yep, me and you, Peter, both. I think this is our not you, Peter, that Peter.
Me, Peter.
And you, Peter, too, maybe. But Wooga's is such a fun, electric team, regardless of their talent.
Yeah. All I could think of while I was watching the post game was that Jimmy might be the most endearing person that the warehouse has ever brought in.
Yeah, seriously.
He might be. It's impossible to root against this guy.
Sometimes you'll get like teammates that'll be like, "Who's better than you? Who's better? I don't want to play with anyone else better." Like you say that, like your accountant friend says that.
Who's better than us?
Who's better than us? But sometimes people will say that just to hype up their teammate, and I really think Jimmy Knorp genuinely enjoys playing with Dan so much because it's also rewarding when a player like Dan who wants it so badly and doesn't fully have the talent yet does succeed, and I think Jimmy really enjoys being there for that.
I think honestly, I feel like he's the type of guy whoever he got paired up with, he'd be like, "All right, sick, let's go." That's
also true, yeah. But I think he especially does enjoy Dan's presence.
He's awesome. If you were to relate Jimmy Knorp to an animal, what animal does Jimmy Knorp remind you of? Because I have a very specific animal in mind, and I don't know if it's just because of the way my brain works.
I want to go straight to Bengal cat.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he's very athletic.
That's very interesting.
I
was going to say
nice
beaver.
Looking. Beaver. Okay.
Yeah. To me, whenever I see Jimmy Knorp,
like a Monty
it's
Mole.
just like this guy. Monty Mole's a mole.
It's in the name.
I just I see with Jimmy Knorp, and I'm like, this guy, if he was an animal, he'd be a beaver for sure. I don't know why. Just in my head, every time I've seen him on my screen, I was like, this guy. And I'm not talking about angry beaver. I'm talking about just a beaver.
Okay.
So you want to go Berman?
Any other animal comps in this game?
No. just the beaver
We'll
one.
think of them as we come along. If you guys have any animal comps for
dog?
people in the warehouse, let us know in the comments.
Dalton's a prairie dog. I'll come up with a full thing.
Okay. I'm not an animal guy, so I don't know a lot of animals. I famously thought a mole was the same thing as a beaver.
A beaver. Yeah. That's a famous thing. Go back to our previous episodes. Listen to them all. Brendan says it.
I says it a lot.
He say it all the time.
Says it.
He says it, man. Okay. He just goes out there. He says it, dude.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Here comes Daddy.
It's St. Jimmy versus what's-his-name in this match where Lovey's is looking to step up their game. Unlike the charger from my Nintendo DS, Jimmy Knorp has fully found it. He strikes Nicky out twice, putting up a 0 in the first. He comes up to the plate and immediately Knorps one to dead center and casually hits with a cycle in this inning. Dan Rourke has to pitch in the second and starts off strong, but much like my Nintendo DS charger, Dan has lost it. He walks in a couple and gives up the lead going down 3-1. But Jimmy hates scary movies, so he will not get out. He puts Dan in the spot to win the game as he bloops a double up the sidewall for a walkout victory. Woogas are a powerhouse and they win 4-3.
The music was too loud. I didn't hear anything you just said at the very end.
Can anyone find my Nintendo DS charger? Was my last request.
That's the last thing you said? Yeah. That was a good one. I like that part. I know where all of my DS chargers are.
I recently found my 3DS. It was lost for 2 years.
Really? I gave mine to Kristen so that she could play Animal Crossing. I I don't understand the first thing that you said. The St.
didn't
Jimmy
think
and
you
what's
would.
her name?
That's,
I assume
it's a Green
that
Day
it's a
thing.
Green Day thing.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go. Just
St.
'cause-
Jimmy, and then another character is what's her name. So I get what's his name.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So who's what's his name in this scenario?
I guess Nikki.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really liked the DS Charger one. I really liked that one. When you said it, I was like, that's a funny one. Everybody could relate to that.
It's really true. Because I think the DS is one of the only ones that like doesn't have normal modern like comps where you can charge your PS4 with like a regular USB charger nowadays, and USB-Cs are everywhere. So that old one's I think a little weird shaped.
That one and the SP. Did your sisters have DSs?
That's the only DS I have. I have her DS Lite. Like I just didn't get that generation, and then she got one and she stopped playing it. She was playing a lot of Brain Age, and that was the only game she ever got, like Brain Age 1 and 2.
Pretty huge.
And I was like, can I have this now? If you're just gonna play fucking Brain Age?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the whole reason why I'm asking that is because I feel like I never lost the DS charger, but now that I think about it, whenever I would not find my DS charger, I'd just steal my brother's.
That's the help with having brothers.
That's the help with having
Only
two
boy
brothers.
in the family.
Only boy in the family, me.
Girls don't like games.
Girls only games. Brendan, what was your favorite girls only game?
Patty cake?
Baker's man. But yeah, we saw it again in this first inning. Somebody got perfect gamed with we seen it. I want to say this is the third time we've seen it in this tournament where when the ace comes up in the first inning, it's like, oop, we're on watch for a perfect game now.
Yeah.
I think it happened to Hookline last game. It happened to Lovia's twice now. Once against Hookline and then now once against the Woogas, where Jimmy Knorp fully has found it.
After one game, like the first game, he didn't look that bad. Just got hit around a little bit. Like he said, was missing.
The first game he looked very good.
Yeah, he just got
the
hit.
first game he looked very good.
He's like, oh, I got to make a minor adjustment, and now I'll be maybe the best pitcher in the warehouse. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I guess it didn't hurt that on the batting side, he said, I think ad nauseum, where he was like, yeah, I see sliders all the time. My favorite pitch to hit, and Nicky's best pitch is absolutely disgusting slider. So, you know, which, kind of a bad matchup for Love Yous.
Yeah. In this inning, too, no, that's next inning. But I'll get to Nicky's pitching, and I feel like why it wasn't fully working too. I think it's really just a matter of location.
Right.
But I was gonna say that in the playoffs, do you think that the pitching strategy will be a little bit different, knowing that we've had so many aces come in the first inning and just shut down? Do you think it would be interesting if someone threw in their backup guy to start, and if they can get out of it clean, then the second inning is like crazy pressure, like, oh shit, now this guy, they have their ace in the mound to close us out essentially.
So I've been thinking about this a lot, like legitimately. I think it would only really work for a team like Woogas or a team like Hookline or even Baggage to an extent if Jimmy puts it together. Maybe Rotten. Definitely McFlurry Power. It comes to times where you have a team like We Got Ice, Del Caribe, Lovias, where the second pitcher isn't reliable enough to say, hey, we can get out of their appearance with without the maximum being scored against us.
Yeah.
You know, you got to hope for something like in We Got Ice's last game where Zoe gets a strikeout and a ground out.
Right.
Or even in a Lovius scenario like Dalton, his strong point has always been getting singles and doubles and fielding.
Yeah.
So I guess I could see it in a case where one of those other teams, I wouldn't be shocked if in the next game, like which is Del Caribe versus Rotten, that we see Marshall start on the mound.
That'd be fun.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Let's see what you can get. And I think that's even less pressure than coming in the second inning, like where you're trying to defend a lead. And if you can steal an out, it feels like stealing an out. It's like, oh, like we're ahead of the game right now. If you can even just get one in this inning, we feel pretty good. Like all we have to do next inning is just get one. Or now we have a lot of chances for you to hopefully record a put out yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
I like the idea. I do like the idea. I don't think that Baggage will ever do it unless they test it first. So I guess we'll wait till that Baggage versus McFlurry Power game. Is that That's the last one, right?
That's the last one, yeah.
Yeah, baggage versus McFlurry Power. To see if Jimmy decides to test it out, because Jimmy's a big test guy. He doesn't really go based off of theories. So if they don't do it in the next game, I don't think they do it in the playoffs. What a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm
a smart man.
Brendan, you might be a smart guy. But yeah, that was. We're not going to go pitch.
Yeah. But Jimmy Knorp looks great in the mound.
Incredible on the mound. He looked completely unhittable.
He was able to find his break.
He pitched perfectly. No hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts.
Kept
he
it
had
in
that
zone.
one crazy play on the field that we saw. I think it was Drew last tournament. Had the one where he was diving backwards to grab the ball. Very simple. So I actually had a question about this.
Have a question. Take a huge gulp of water.
I'm sorry. My throat was so dry. So when Jimmy went back, caught it in his arm, like there was a bobble.
Right. I think that's how it ended up almost behind him.
Does it count as like a clean, like say the ball were to come to me and I go down and I like kind of knock it up in the air, but grab it before it hits the ground. I feel like in the past, we've seen that be called as a hit because it wasn't a clean catch.
I think as long as it doesn't touch any walls or anything like that. If you were to like bobble it and it even skimmed the wall before it came back in your hands, that's a hit. But as long as it touches nothing else. Maybe if it touches as long as it doesn't come back down to earth.
Yeah. I'm actually confused about that.
You put a filter on your microphone?
Yeah, I put a filter on my microphone. This is just how it's going to sound.
Good. It sounds really good. So leave it like that.
Brendan.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
So that's real. We'll put them up here. Oh, I had that get there.
What did he do? He does this, right? I don't know what to do with my hands. Whoa, you had a blitzball.
I had a blitzball the whole time.
I thought you were making a Ballad of Ricky Bobby joke.
No. I just always got one of these around.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
So Jimmy Knorp takes the momentum of the pitching and takes it right into that batter's box and swing-a-ling-a-lings. It was so crazy, though, like just seeing him
home run.
Have absolutely no problem with Nicky's sliders.
He didn't look nervous all day. He didn't look nervous at all. He knew he was sitting slider. He had great coaching from Dan Rourke, which needed to be talked about. Dan just straight up was like, "This is how all of his pitches move," and Jimmy was like, "Cool, got it."
He's like, I've seen that before. I could do that.
He's like, "Yeah, I know what a slider is."
Yeah, and it doesn't work well against him because he sees them all the time, and also it needs to come hit inside pipe. If it's going to be thrown to a righty, it needs to start like way behind him so that it doesn't come middle by the time it gets over the plate. Like other people will have a harder time with this as we've seen because it's got so much movement that location doesn't really matter. But this is the one batter that I think you need to pinpoint that pitch. Either throw it way away or way inside. If it's going to end up somewhere in the middle, this guy's gonna cream it. Where other people will be like, "Oh, that has a lot of movement. I'm gonna swing over this."
Honestly, if it doesn't end up over the middle, he's gonna cream it.
He still might. I don't know how. That's the only chance you have is to throw it like perfectly with him.
Jimmy legitimately had a perfect game, Brendan.
Yeah.
5 for 5 with a walk, no hits, no walks.
The only
allowed
pitch he had
a
little bit of a problem with was the 2-seamer because that's I guess a pitch that doesn't have a shape comp to wiffle ball pitches for the most part. And he still was able to hit it. Like he's like, "Oh, that's a hard. I don't smash that one as hard as the slider, but I can still hit it anywhere it is."
Yeah, I mean, it was legitimately a perfect game. I don't think we've ever seen this in the warehouse before.
Yeah, and Nicky didn't look bad.
No, Nicky looked good.
Yeah, just location. Oh, hey, Peter, who's better than us?
Who's better than us? Nobody. But yeah, like as you alluded to, Jimmy's first at bat, home run. Then Dan strikes out. Then Jimmy hits a double. He did a warehouse cycle in reverse order.
Yeah, if he did it the other way around, you would have scored more runs. So that's on him.
Yeah, you're
Bad strategy.
Bad strategy. the fact that Wooga's got out of this inning with only one run is crazy.
Yeah, the way that Nicky was getting hit, that has
Yeah.
to feel like a little bit of a win going into the next inning.
For sure.
You know?
I mean, he could only get one of the guys out.
Yeah.
And Dan completely lost his cool. But to be fair, like I'm not going to go at bat by at bat, but I think, like, yes, he got hit around. Yes, Jimmy hit the cycle in the first inning and his first 3 at bats. But he completely ripped all of the confidence that Dan had and all of the zen that Dan was talking about that he had from the first game. He ripped it out. Like, because then what happens, right? We go into the second inning, Dan's on the mound, and Dan just straight up does not have it.
Yeah. Well, the first at bat, he gets Dalton, right?
He gets Dalton in the first at bat, but it was just kind of like, I don't know, man. Like
he was just missing for a lot of it too, and then it starts to really be like it get in your head when you're just missing. You don't know what you're doing wrong anymore.
Yeah, you weren't even doing it on the other side of the game,
right? But like, he's one of the players that when he is struggling, and this is I think again why I like Wooga so much is that Dan work is still entertaining when he's walking the field. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Content wise, he's still. Naturally manages to be super entertaining when he's struggling a lot. Where other people are like, you cringe a little bit when you see someone just not able to find it at all. Dan is just so funny, and I'm still rooting for him to get out of it too. And I think he's the kind of person that you see cares so much that when he does finally overcome it, you feel that much better.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we've seen him do it. Yeah, it's just
talent's there.
He after the second walk. He kind of fully lost his cool. Mm-hmm. And we saw him pitch so well in the first game because he was able to keep his cool like that.
Right.
Luckily, as we'll see, he did not give up the maximum.
But it's huge. I think that's a big thing for these backup pitchers. If you can get out of it like 3 or less, I think that's somewhat. It's not the worst thing.
Right. Which is what he did, and you're starting to hear it in the booth. He gives up 3, right? And 2 off of a walk, 1 off of a single.
Seemingly can't get out, so that's another thing in your pocket.
Good for Nicky. Hey, claps for Nicky. Not going hitless this tournament.
Yeah,
he got an RBI as well. Good for him. Like, listen,
it's got to start somewhere.
The regression that we've seen, I don't know how it's happened with this regression from Nicky at the plate. I don't know how.
All the way to now.
Maybe like that hit that he got is going to jumpstart him. Mm-hmm. Nicky definitely wanted it and he got it. He's not going 0 for this tournament. Good for him. Even if it's just the one hit, got an RBI. Then Dalton struck out. Dalton being uncharacteristic at the plate as well. Mm-hmm. You heard Rose and Peter Moylan talking about it. What we've been talking about since Blitzball Battle 3, where they're like, how many runs do you think you need to feel comfortable? Right?
Yeah.
At the time, they had a 2-run lead. Peter at one point said, like, this is good. To which I said, no, Peter.
No, there's
Chris
a guy
Rose
on the other
said,
side that is probably the best hitter in the warehouse right now.
Well, that and Peter, and then Chris Rose was like, I think they need a 3-run lead or more to feel relatively secure.
Right.
Then when the inning was over, Peter kind of came around to it. We've been saying it forever. 2-run lead secure, is
maybe
nothing.
Just like 3 would help you go into it feeling like we have a chance to win. They're going to score some runs on us, so you almost need 3. I think 2 is, to me, like you're now going to lose against these guys.
Right. 2-run is not enough.
Especially with the chances that they had. They had like so much traffic on the bases that you should have capitalized on a full 5 inning if you could.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they pieced a couple hits together. They were like kind of being given chances.
Yeah, I mean Dalton striking out was huge.
Yeah.
Because Dan very easily could have walked in 2 more guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you just keep the inning alive, that guy's going to really, in those situations where he has to pitch, you want to put them in the corner like that as an offense.
Right. That's not what happened. So they go in leading 3-1 into the bottom. Jimmy pops the first one up for a single because the guy doesn't get out. Mm-hmm. Then Dalton walks Dan. Dalton had his headphones in.
Dan
We were talking about, were we on recording when we were talking about this?
No. We'll say it again.
So Dalton had his headphones in, straight up like bobbing his head, playing air guitar.
Which I still do think he was listening to something and was joking about not. Either way, he's maybe a lunatic then if he wasn't listening to anything.
I mean, he takes himself out after walking Dan, which Nikki was talking about doing anyways. Nikki goes, "What were you listening to?" The whole first 2 at bats, he's like, "I gotta fucking know what this guy's listening." Dalton goes, "Oh, I wasn't listening to anything." And then Nikki says, and I don't know if we're like taking this too much at face value, but Nikki goes, "Man, Dalton just said that he wasn't listening to anything, and now I'm fucked up." And then immediately in his first batter, hits Jimmy 3 times to walk him, which is our first time this tournament seeing that. A batter getting hit 3 times to be walked. Strikes out Dan, gives up a single, which scores a run on bases loaded, and then gives up a double to Dan, scores 2 runs, ends the game. Nikki gets walked. So what do you think, Brendy? Did he actually get fucked up enough to like that impacting him?
He was definitely nervous going into it, seeing him with the headphones on and dancing. And Dalton here, regardless of what was actually happening there, was so funny to me because it looked crazy to watch a guy listening to music on the mound, just dancing around, give up a hit, give up a walk, and not be productive at all, and just like with a smile dance off the mound and give the ball to Nikki. He's like, "Well, I couldn't do it. Here you go."
But it goes back to that whole Dalton is in these are practice games mentality, and Nikki's fully not. So these two got to get on the same page. I guess now that their next game is a knockout game, they'll be on the same page.
Yeah.
But they got to get on the same page before this. I mean, that's a whole reason why they're probably going to be the 8 seed or 7 seed.
I can give it to Dalton a little bit just because he's like, well, if we are treating these games like this, I do need to figure something out before the playoff rounds. And he's like, he's grasping at straws with the sweatshirt.
But I mean,
and the headphones.
If that's the case, if you're thinking that that's the case, Dalton's got to be on the mound for more than just the 2 batters that he saw. Like he's got to be like, here, I'll just take these out. The headphones clearly weren't working. I got to try something out. Instead, Nikki comes in, and Nikki found it on the mound. I think we could both agree that Nikki's found it on the mound. He's going to be fine,
especially if they're not playing Woogas. He should be all right.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point we're seeing Woogas is one of the better teams in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. If the Lovies can hit a little bit, they could win. They could definitely win a game in the playoffs. They just need to do any sort of hitting.
Yeah, but I think that this game cemented it as, hey, Woogas, if the Woogas don't make the final, I'll be shocked.
I'll be surprised. Yeah, for sure.
Them and I think McFlurry Power.
Yeah, like both those teams a lot.
I think those are my 2 favorites at the moment, which is funny because that's who we said were the favorites in floorball.
Wow, and then we're gonna be half right, I guess, when we get there.
Oh, and we got ice. What the fuck am I talking about?
What the fuck are you talking about?
So again, floorball. The 3 better teams in floorball. We got ice, McFlurry, and
there you go.
So if the final 4 is we got ice, McFlurry, Woogas, and baggage, that would be crazy. This is just floorball again.
Yeah, pretty much. I have a small preview, but I guess we'll save it for later. Because the next team I was going to talk about, like, oh, that's the one next week. I guess I'll save it for the end of the show.
All right, hey, Del Caribe. Brendan was really big on Del Caribe.
Huge on them.
Huge on Del Caribe, but again, Woogas, Dan's 24 hot dog grilling machine, and Jimmy Knorp's beaver.
Okay.
Strike that, please.
What?
That's not what I meant. I forgot that it means something else.
Jimmy's beef.
No.
Okay.
Jimmy's beaver-like personality.
Dan's hot dog and Jimmy's beaver.
I know, Brendan.
I didn't even put the hot dog part together with it.
I know. It's
man, that guy's got a real hot dog machine.
I'm sorry to Dan Rourke and to Jimmy Knorp. I'm sorry for making this perverse.
You're disgusting.
We tried to not talk about Dan's curse usage because we believe he's a great guy and he's making strides towards bettering himself. But instead, I said that he's a hot dog and Jimmy's a beaver. Okay? Get over it. We're all adults. Stupid. I'm the Dan Rourke of this podcast.
Just beat yourself up.
Just gonna.
And I'm Peter. Come on. Peter. There's nobody else I'd rather podcast with. Who's better than us?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. But I guess, that's really all there is to talk about in this game. Lovey's
Yeah.
didn't have it. Wooga's did. And Wooga's will continue to have it, I think.
Even when they struggle,
Even when they
Jimmy
struggle.
Knorp can coach Dan out of the demons. And he's also like, before we move on to play of the game,
Coach the demons out of Dan.
coach demons out of Dan. Dan also he just has, I guess, like mental blocks on the mound more than other backup pitchers that just like actually just don't have the talent that Dan does. I think Dan's got the speed, he's got the movement, he's got like a couple of pitches that are both dirty, where other pitchers are like, just even if I'm in the zone, I'm pretty hittable. But when Dan is in the zone, he's not as hittable as backup.
I think
pitchers.
they talked about this in Blitzball Battle 1, maybe. I think Dan was a pitcher in high school.
He's got a nice stride. When you see like a side view of him reaching out towards the mound and throwing, he really looks like he's got like a real pitcher's stride.
Like he has the fundamentals of pitching down.
Mm-hmm.
So
he could probably throw he could throw gas if he wanted to. He could probably touch 80 with the Blitzball.
Yeah. I'd like to see how fast he could throw. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Wooga's had it.
Wooga's had it.
Player of the game.
Player of the game. It's Jimmy Knorp. It's St. Jimmy Knorp.
St. Jimmy Knorp's and the Nobodies. That's what you said, right?
And what's his name?
I don't know. Got him.
That's good.
Do you have the time?
Peter, I like you so much better when you're not just making disgusting beaver jokes.
How dare you?
Jimmy Knorp was amazing on both sides of the ball. 5 for 5, I believe. Hits a cycle. 3 or 4 Ks. Just looks like dominant on both sides and looks like a real Major League Wiffle Ball player. And sometimes it doesn't always translate as easily. It looks like this kid could compete with the best in Blitzball too. Figured it out quick with pitching. I'm more impressed with that because he, like we've been saying, he came into this knowing he could mash, and the pitching came so quickly to him.
It came crazy quick because even we saw. I could be misremembering, but even we saw in Blitzball Battle 1, Drew Davis, Major League Wiffle Ball, right?
Yeah.
He was struggling on the mound a little bit. When you first take a Blitzball, and to be fair, we don't know how long Jimmy had... Whoa. We don't know how long Jimmy had been practicing with a Blitzball. We don't know if he... we know he's had warehouse experience with the Challenger Series.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know how long in advance he was told, hey, we're going to have you be on one of these franchise teams.
How long he had to practice.
How long he had to practice. We don't know.
But
we
have that
know.
when they give you his arsenal. He has that hype video for himself of him throwing all his pitches and he either had some time to practice or he kind of picked this up very quickly. If he only had a month to figure it out, he's like, let me just work on it for a couple weeks and just
or even in Blitzball Battle 2. When Dan was on the rivalry, his partner was also a wiffle ball pitcher who just didn't get it right away. He didn't get it as fast as Jimmy did.
Right.
Jimmy seemed like it took him one batter and he's like, cool, no rust.
Yeah.
He was in there. I can only see him getting better as the tournament goes on. The guy seems like he never gets rattled.
I guess that must be what comes from playing in competitions a lot. I think these bright lights are a little different than some other ones, but I guess just playing this type of sport, I don't know what level of professional he was playing, but it definitely is different than the rest of the guys that are in here that just kind of have played against each other, and that's about it. That's about it.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to see a lot more Jimmy Knorp players of the game in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the moment, I feel like it's a 3-man race for MVP from what we've seen so far between Jimmy Knorp, Jack Doyle, and Colin Stone at the moment.
Yeah.
Like you said, Colin needs
I say that's the rankings too, probably. I say it's probably Jimmy, Jack, and Colin in the race.
Wow, you really think so?
Yeah. Colin also, we've only seen him play one game too.
And I guess Jimmy has the edge on Jack right now.
Right now, because Jack had
at the plate.
I think they both had a similar pitching outing too, and Jimmy has him at the plate.
Dominant? Yeah.
One dominant and one kind of get knocked around.
Yeah. And then Jimmy has that because Jack has like a 500 average at the plate. And what did Jimmy have? Like an 890?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Like you got to make one out.
Jimmy's average is a 778.
And with slug, with like a lot of slug.
OBP.
Yeah.
Yeah. 857 OBP. Jack is a 500 and 563 OBP. Like it's kind of kooky. I mean, Jack does have a little bit of slug.
Yeah.
But Jimmy's got, more in each category. This is going to be fun. Like that might be the final. It all depends on K-Mac. It all depends on K-Mac. If K-Mac can somehow put it all together at the plate.
Yeah,
even
the
on
plate
the mound,
mostly. Mound, we haven't seen much of it, but he's looked fine.
Yeah. Like
That's
that
good.
could be the difference maker in these three teams.
If you look at that team, McFlurry Power, and match them up against Wooga's, they have two stronger pitchers overall because Dan can be a liability, where the two of those guys, we've seen Constantine be great so far. We've seen K-Mac do what he does. So if they hit, I'd say they're maybe like a little bit stronger or equal to Wooga's.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they do against baggage ball.
Yeah,
when they play them.
Only just headshots on the mound.
Only headshots. Play of the game. Play the game. Jimmy Knorp, send us your phone number. Play of the game has to be Dan getting the double off of Nicky to win the game.
Nice.
Dan was struggling big time in this game. He had 1 hit, 5 plate appearances. He did not have a good outing on the mound. We talked about that already. So just the fact that he steps up in this at bat where really Nicky shouldn't have been feeling that much pressure. Like, yes, the bases were loaded, but Dan hadn't been doing anything all day. And, maybe Nicky's mind was on, Jimmy's coming up again next. Jimmy's guaranteed another at bat with the bases loaded. The game is like it's a 1-run game right now. I just got to get Dan out and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Even I was thinking when Nicky when Nicky stayed on the mound, I was like, it's weird that Dalton isn't pitching here with Dan like not being fantastic, and the fact that Nicky is such a huge strikeout guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good
but
point.
Dan showed up. He said, "You know what? Fuck it. I've been having a shit game. I'm going to create a memory that makes everybody remember that I had a good one." Walks it off. That's the play of the game. Has to be.
And it's got to be huge for his confidence, too, going into the next game as far as hitting goes. How's the end pitching? Just having a big win like that on your shoulders has got to feel so good as like the last thing that happened in this game. Now you can fully take that, take it right into the next one. You hit one of the best pitchers in the game. You got a double. I was super hyped because, again, we talked about this last game. It's not like ingrained in my brain yet that sidewall on a fly is a double yet. So it took me a second to be like, oh, wait. They just won. It's like, oh, hell yeah.
I wrote into my notes, and the game is tied.
Yeah.
And then
wait a second.
Jimmy started jumping up and down. And I was like, the game is over.
They might not be ready for that either. They're like, oh shit, yeah, that's a double now.
Yeah, I think who was it? Somebody in the stands was yelling no, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy started going nuts.
Yeah. No, it's really exciting. That is a fantastic point though about the pitching matchup there. I think that's the only way they really could have won Lovey's is if Dalton went in there to get the out. Or I guess if Nicky happened to induce a ground ball, which is fully possible against Dan. But even if Nicky gets out Dan here, and it's not Dalton that makes the put out, Wooga still wins because now you have to get Nicky, Jimmy Thorpe is not getting out in that at bat if he comes back.
Drew Thorpe, you said.
Drew Thorpe.
Right?
Drew Thorpe.
Jimmy Thorpe is what you just said? You need to stop with that. This is multiple episodes now.
I think I was about to say Nicky Thorpe.
Nicky Thorpe. But yeah, that's it on this game. Put a cap on it, Brendy. And now we'll go into our preview of the next game. I think we're both interested in it. Both of these teams.
Should I be making us a preview soundbite?
Preview.
Preview.
Wow. Maybe we should make a preview soundbite.
Okay. If anyone wants to
You
send
can
one
do
in.
it.
All right, I'll do it.
If you want me to send it in.
No,
I mean,
our fans should send it.
Oh, yeah.
We should have a contest.
honestly, if somebody wants to send in a preview soundbite, we know that our fans do interact with us on the Twitter. Peter Posk, Ruppy Puppy. We will put you in as our soundbite.
Yeah.
We are very
even if it's just like you're
with
some like
people who
lazy
listen.
kid with a neck beard on the couch that just goes preview. We'll use that. We'll use it. Yeah, that works too.
You could just do it talking Simish. We'll put it in.
Put it in.
I don't know how I can't do a good Simish impersonation. So
I've never played The Sims. I assume they talk like this.
No, that's Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie stuff.
Oh, they didn't steal it from there. Yeah,
that's that. That's Jolly from Jolly Roger's Lagoon and Banjo-Tooie. But I don't know what Simish is. Nicole could probably do it. Preview. Forgotten Rotten. Trevor needs to put it together.
Yes.
Marshall needs to get it going.
Team that
Del
has been a
Caribe.
huge disappointment so far.
Both teams have been a huge disappointment so far because
Yeah.
Lou even has not been hitting well. Lou's pitching has been ridiculous. And Joe's needs to get it going. Marshall and Joe's need to get it going. Trevor needs to put it together. How was his pitching last game, Trevor?
I think it was all right.
He threw a lot of pitches.
Yeah,
Brandon.
he did.
52 pitches is a lot.
And it got overshadowed by the fact that he didn't
One
hit at all.
strikeout.
Looked like shit
5
at
hits.
the plate.
Yeah.
This is a funny game though,
5
for me
hits.
with Forgotten Rotten that even if they win against El Caribe, I still don't have faith in them. This is not the team that I want them to face to give me faith.
What if Marshall's lights out?
It's still against El Caribe.
What if Marshall hits Lou really well?
I feel better about that. That'll make me feel pretty good.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
if Trevor hits Lou, I'm like, okay, you should be doing that.
He should be, but it's. Brendan, get
Marshall,
right
though.
games are super important.
Yeah.
For anybody, for Trevor, all he needs is to get into the swing of things.
But this for me, I guess, feels a little bit like over the summertime when the Yankees went and played the Athletics, and then they just went and like beat up a AAA team, and then went back to like playing like shit ball.
Yeah, but think about it. Jake said, and we've seen it, game and a half, and then you're back. If Trevor can get back on the mound, throw, let's say 30-something pitches, and get 2 extra base hits, I'd feel a lot better about Forgotten Rotten, so long as those extra base hits weren't off Joe's. And if Marshall can if Marshall can get a strikeout at least on the mound, I will feel a lot better about Forgotten Rotten.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's where it is. Marshall's in there as a pitcher. We've seen that he can hit. He just needs to get a little more used to it. And this might be the perfect game for him to get used to the movement of the ball because Lou is a demon on the mound. Lou is so good on the mound.
Yeah, he's gotten really good. He in the past has been like all right, and now he's like probably the bottom of the high tier.
I mean, let's relate it to baseball, right? Famously, baseball players such as John Carlos Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, during spring training will go up there with the intent to not swing, just so their eyes can get used to how the ball moves.
Yeah.
Marshall just needs, I think, a little more time just watching the ball move to get ready. And then, Marshall gets, let's put numbers on it, right? If Marshall gets 2 hits at least in this game, I think that I'll feel a lot more confident about Forgotten Rotten in the knockouts. And if Joe's can get an out on the mound, just
huge.
one. Did he get any last time? No, he didn't.
No, yeah, no.
So if he can get an out, he's the only player left in this tournament who hasn't gotten an out on the mound or on the field or in the field.
Yeah. Even if I see Joe's throw strikes, and like Peter Moreland was saying too, he wants to see Joe's throw strikes. Even if that means he gets lit up, that would make me feel better too. Even just like, okay, cool, he's capable of throwing it in the zone, and maybe he'll get lucky in the future. If he gets lit up for 5, and he doesn't really throw more than 1 or 2 walks, I'm like, all right, that was honestly better. Just because throwing it in there can sometimes make a batter nervous depending on the situation. So if he can get it around the strike zone, even if he gets hit like crazy, I feel better about Joe's going into the playoffs. As far as Forgotten Rotten goes, I still think with an MLB level player, he should be able to carry even if Marshall doesn't perform. And we haven't seen him carry a team in a long time. So I have a theory though about Trevor is that he is purposely not trying in these first 2 rounds.
Carrying is hard with the new rules.
I know for sure. But I mean, to
even
as much
if you
of a
are
degree
an
that you
MLB
can.
player, I mean, you are it's
He hasn't
straight
been
up.
close to carrying.
Unless you can get, and now look, think about it this way too, right? Del Caribe as hitters, they're a fucking all or nothing team.
Yeah.
You know, they're homers or doubles or nothing. So when you take that into consideration, you have to take out the fact that, oh, maybe we could get Marshall a couple ground balls so he doesn't have to pitch. That's 2 of 6 outs completely out of Trevor's hands.
Yeah. I guess I'm just more saying that these games are falling onto Trevor's shoulders, and he's not doing what he should be doing. If he performs like great, and Marshall doesn't, like, well, okay, like at least you did your job, Trevor. Trevor has not been doing his job in a while.
Yeah. Are we talking about this game more than we're talking about Wooga's Love Yous?
Yeah, right. We have a lot to say about this one. It hasn't happened yet.
I mean, to be fair, it's 2 teams who are like, you have the stars in Lou and Trevor underperforming.
Yeah.
And like the
storyline.
X factors being, we saw Joe's can pitch. We were very like, hey, Joe's might be something if he could just get it going a little bit. Like his velo
You've seen he's done work.
time.
He's been trying.
He's been all over the zone. Marshall is another one where, like, I don't think there's any doubts in either of our minds that Marshall can be great on the mound.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of him getting used to the ball and him doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you
with
agree with
that,
the sentiment, though, that do you believe that
fully.
Trevor is not trying in the first couple rounds?
Fully, I do.
I think that's
because
a storyline right there. This is the heel in him is like, just watch us turn it on in the playoffs, and I was hustling all you guys. That's a Trevor thing to do.
I think he's going to turn it on here because I think that I think first off, if anybody's going to make a statement, I'm sorry, Lou. I'm sorry, Joe's.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to make a statement, Del Caribe is the team to do it against.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think the heel in him, like you said, his eyes are lighting up like, let's show him that Rotten's still here. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess Sunday we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
But Brendy, what do you think? Prediction time.
Let's go
with scores
9-2. Forgotten Rotten.
Yeah.
Let's go big. Angry.
I think I'm going to say not 9-2 because I think Lou is going to show up with a vengeance. And I think we will see 7-4 Forgotten Rotten.
Okay. Big scores.
Big scores.
Like it.
Watch. Guaranteed 1-0 game. Brendan and I have our Blitzballs. Go to the YouTube. See us holding our Blitzballs.
That's what the pause is for, if you're an audio listener.
Brendan, what should people be drinking?
Drink Subtle Tea. It's a drink made by me. You can find it at thesubtletea.com. Use code HoppyBoys for $2 off your order. If you listen to this episode, you probably heard a strange ad at the beginning of the episode, and maybe at the end. I'm not sure if I'm putting it at either one, both, or... Oh, yeah, I'll throw it in the middle, too. In the middle of my burn, I'll just put it over the burn.
You should, if you're going to put it at the beginning, put the one from 2022 at the end.
Okay, sure.
If you still have it.
I do have it. So, yeah, listen, if you heard about Malt Madness by now, you might not know what it is. And I'm not here to explain it to you. You just got to go find out for yourself. Just go listen to it.
Explain it.
Peter will be there. It's our March Madness style beer bracket tournament. There's 4 regions. That gives you 4 episodes of build up to the big Final Four finale that we do a live show in a friend's backyard. So all month long, you'll be getting an episode every Thursday so we can complete our beer bracket. Check that out on the Hoppy Boys feed. And listen to Lonely Boys if you like Gossip Girl.
Listen to Lonely Boys if you like Gossip Girl. I will plug my brother Matthew Del Rey. He's a good boy. I love him very much. Give him a hug and a kiss if you see him. God knows he needs it. Go listen to us on YouTube. Boys Media.
Watch us hold Blitzballs on YouTube.
Watch us hold Blitzballs on YouTube. Watch me bend my fingers back last episode. Boys Media on YouTube. You could, if that doesn't work, you could always type in Blitzball Boys, Blitzball Battle 4, and our videos will pop up. Follow us on Twitter. Peter Posk for me, Ruppy Puppy, RUPPIE, PUPPIE for Brendan. Go play Mega Man Battle Network. Other than that, Brendan, ask me the question.
You got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. Bye.
You know,